It is lunchtime across the great state of Alabama. Thanks for tuning us in. This is Three Man Front on Jocks, Pat, Landrum, Molly, and Conrad. If you missed the first 2 hours of the show, you can always go back and listen in its entirety. Download the Three Man Front podcast. And you can hear Wimp Sanderson. Great conversation talking about Charles Bediako. Also went down memory lane about his, disappointing game in the NCAA basketball tournament against Loyola Marymount. For those younger basketball fans, just do a Google search on that. Like Kurt Signetti says, just Google me.
Record-setting offensive basketball.
Yeah, Google Loyola Marymount. That was an incredible basketball team, and they took out Alabama in the Sweet 16, and they went on to the Elite Eight. They lost in the Elite Eight, but that was quite a team, Loyola Marymount. We also talked to Mike Rodak from Bama 247, got his feelings on the Charles Bediako case, where it goes from here. Got the hearing coming up next Friday. And if he is granted that permanent restraining order, then he will play for the rest of the season. And joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline each and every Friday, no one knows SEC basketball better than our next guest. Blake Lovell from Southeastern 16 joins us now on Three Man Front. Blake, I hope you're well. I hope everything in your part of the world, because I know you guys got hammered weather-wise last weekend. Hope you're well.
Yeah, appreciate it as always, guys. Good to talk to you. And yeah, it was certainly quite a week here, to say the least. And yeah, we wouldn't have electricity for a couple of days, but luckily, gotten it back since. And yeah, it's still a mess around here, as you would imagine. So
yeah, there is no doubt about that. I know the state of Mississippi. We've got a women's basketball game that's tipping off here very soon in Birmingham between Vandy and Ole Miss, and obviously Ole Miss and Vandy is they're switching venues and things of that nature upcoming. But let's talk about the week that was in the SEC, the midweek games. Let's first off start with Alabama. After that tough loss to Tennessee over the weekend, Bama rebounds nicely. That is the type of team in which when Nate Oates and that team can hit their outside shots, they're a problem, and they proved that the other night against Missouri.
yeah, and I think that's just the thing I always come back to with Alabama, is that it really doesn't matter what sort of setting they're in. You never really feel comfortable in kind of looking at this team and saying, you know what, someone's just going to come out and do what Arizona did to them. And there's a reason Arizona did that, because Arizona's the best team in the country, and they're 21-0 right now. But I just don't know how many other teams out there. And I mean, we may be talking about a handful of teams that I would say on any given night you feel like are just such a poor matchup for Alabama that you can hold them off long enough if they're making shots to beat them, or, just ever feel comfortable trying to put them away. And I know we're talking about a team that's lost 6 games this year, but I think that's what I always keep going back to with them, is that, yes, they may have had a disappointing loss to Tennessee, but at the same time, they just are going to overwhelm a lot of teams with how they play. And, I think that's always been the case in the Nate Oates era, just with the style that they like to run. But, it's going to be interesting, because you're talking about going from playing with a team like Missouri, to playing a team like Florida on Sunday, and the differences in those teams and how they're going to match up with you and all that. But, yeah, when Alabama's hitting shots, there aren't many better out there in terms of just pure execution of their style of play.
When you look at this Florida team and what we saw and we didn't think we were going to get, I don't think we did last weekend when Auburn went to Gainesville, wins for the first time in 30 years. But this particular Florida team, they kind of flexed in their game earlier this week, winning by 70 points. How good can this Florida team be?
Yeah, I still think if we're talking just pure upside, I think you have to put Florida and Alabama right there at the top of the SEC in terms of how far they can go. And I think, yes, the loss to Auburn was disappointing probably for Florida fans. But, I went to that game and said, I just think Auburn's the kind of team that could match up well with Florida. And there are not a lot of teams out there that I think can. But Auburn kind of had the profile of a team that could give them problems. And sure enough, that's what happened. But I think with Florida, it really does always come back to the guard play for them. And their front court is going to be really, really good pretty much every single night. And, of course, that was one of the differences in the game against Auburn, is that Alex Condon only had a point in that game. The front court probably had, just simply could not find the path that they have found so many times over these past couple of years. And I think when you look at the guard play with Lee and Fland and those guys, that's going to determine how far Florida can go in the NCAA tournament. Can they get close to defending the national championship again? Can they get there? Like all those things. And I just think it comes down to their guard play, which is why, once again, I think Sunday's game is so interesting because you're going up against one of the teams with the best guard group in the SEC, one of the best in the country. And can those two players in particular for Florida step up to the occasion? If they can, I think it sets up well for Florida. If not, that's probably going to be the story of the Gators' downfall should they lose somewhere along the way in March.
And Blake, you mentioned them when talking about Florida, the Auburn Tigers. So we'll stay right there. They start off conference play 1-3, winners of 4 straight. What have you seen from Auburn in this run, and potentially where do you see their ceiling now?
Yeah, I mean, their defense has been a lot better, and I think that's just the biggest key to me is when you're looking at some of the games that they're losing early in the season, and we know how tough their schedule was, but it's hard to, even against great teams, to just always rely on, well, we're just not a great defensive team. That's only going to get you so far. And yes, you're playing good offensive teams, but at some point you've got to step up and be good on that side. And I mean for an entire 40 minutes. And, Stephen Pearl, I know, has brought up in his press conferences and stuff before about, we've made whatever, 127 defensive mistakes or whatever the numbers were he was throwing out there at one point. Those have gotten lower. And that's been the big difference. They gave up 67 to South Carolina, 66 to Ole Miss, 67 to Florida. I know they just gave up 82 to Texas, but remember, Texas is, kind of a top 10 team in the country offensively when you look at their efficiency numbers. So I think that's been the biggest key to me is a team that's finally figured out, okay, we can't put ourselves in these positions where we're playing 104 to 100, 90 to 88 type games because we're just putting a lot of pressure on ourselves to have to go out and score 85 plus points a game. Let's figure out how we can, alleviate some of that. And I think that's just where they've stepped it up on the defensive side, the rebounding, those kind of things. And if that continues, which, their schedule just simply doesn't get any easier, like their next 4 games at Tennessee, home against Alabama, home against Vanderbilt, at Arkansas. If they can keep this going, though, they're going to win quite a few of these games just because I think offensively it's hard to shut them down. But if they can step up defensively the way they have, they're going to be just fine.
Blake Lovell joins us from Southeastern 16 here on 3-Man Front each and every Friday as we preview the weekend and talk about the SEC basketball season so far. And you just mentioned the Tennessee Vols. Just a couple weeks ago, a lot of people in Rocky Top, they were wringing their hands because they're going, what's wrong with this basketball team? But all of a sudden, you go to Alabama, get a big road win. You go to Georgia, you get a big overtime win. Now you're hosting Auburn. Your thoughts on Tennessee now sitting there at 4-3, 14-6 overall?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of teams have felt that way this year in this particular SEC landscape where it's one week you look up and everybody's thrilled and excited. The next week you look up and you're just like, what happened? Everything, season's over, all this kind of stuff. But with Tennessee, I think Nate Amon has been the difference. And like, this is a guy that obviously came in as a freshman, one of the most highly touted freshmen out there. And you just like, you immediately are expecting him to be what Dalton Connect was 2 years ago, what like a Chaz Lanier was last year. And it's unrealistic, I think, right off the bat sometimes in this particular era to do that. And, we've got guys who've played however many seasons that some of these guys have played now. And it took a little bit of growing pains, I think, early in the season. But now I think he's figured it out. And I think he's been the biggest difference for Tennessee. Like, look at how many minutes he's played in these last 4 games, 39, 38, 36, 43. I know they had some overtime games in there, but there is a difference and a confidence, I think, that Rick Barnes has in him now with the way he's playing versus those minutes were a little bit more sporadic, even a month or so ago. And so I think he's been the biggest key for Tennessee to be what they can be under Rick Barnes, kind of like they're still going to have some offensive lulls, but as long as the defense is there, they're going to be fine. This team statistically is a little worse defensively than he's had in several years, but they're still a top 15 defensive type team. So if you have Gillespie, if you have Nate Amon playing the way they're playing, that's really all you need with the defense that they have to be able to win a lot of these games. And so that's why I'm so interested in this matchup tomorrow because, again, Auburn's so good offensively. Can Tennessee shut them down enough to be able to get the win? I think that's going to be kind of the big story tomorrow.
So, Blake, if we're going stock up, and we just mentioned some of those stock up teams, we're going stock down. Maybe one of those teams that in your mind was a teetering bubble team who has plummeted, and now, as you see it, halfway through the conference schedule, there's really no hope.
Yeah, it's definitely Missouri, and no hope may be too strong, but
Sorry,
I
a
just
little bit
think
of
they
hope.
have. But well, that's the thing, right? Is like it may be for a lot of Missouri fans, it may be no hope. To be honest with you, like because they're very frustrated right now, and I understand because if you look at their non-conference, like they just have nothing on their resume to speak of. And I think that's kind of the similar for Texas, although they had beaten NC State. And so with Missouri, it's like every time you get an opportunity, you feel like to take a step forward, they can't sort of meet that challenge. Whereas like, okay, they won the first two of the SEC play, beat Florida, won at Kentucky. That's about as good of a pair of two wins you can find. And then they went and lost at Ole Miss. Well, then they came back and beat Auburn by 10. Great, you're 3-1, everything's fine. Then you go lose at LSU. Then you lose by 2 at home to Georgia. And then it's like, all right, you find a way to get 2 buzzer beaters in Oklahoma, and then you go get blown out in Alabama. So I just think that Missouri is kind of a team that, and again, no hope may not be too strong because if you look at their metrics and their net and all that stuff, they are close to the NCAA tournament right now, but I just don't have the confidence that they're going to be able to get there. And so to me, they're kind of on a different level than, let's say, teams, like a Mississippi State or something like that, that I just think have a lot of work to do. But for Missouri, they've been the most disappointing team just in terms of having every opportunity to kind of take this thing and get to another level, and they just have not been able to do it so far.
And we also saw that Missouri can't shoot free throws the other night. That was
Yeah,
that was that was,
terrible.
that was pretty bad. We just mentioned life in the SEC comes at you fast. So a couple weeks ago, and even last week when you were on the show, we were talking about how it appeared that Kentucky had righted the wrongs, and then all of a sudden you saw what happened this week. People are not happy. And listen, Kentucky basketball is like trying to make Alabama football fans happy. There's a certain level, and if you do not reach that level in competition, you're going to face criticism. In your opinion, you've covered this league for a long time. What is going on with Kentucky? Why can't they get things right, and why are they getting blown out so many times that we're seeing?
Yeah, I think with them this year, they can lean on some things of, well, here's how this has happened, and there's really not a lot we can do about it. And one of those is just simply injuries. And everybody has injuries throughout the season. I know that. But if you were picking Kentucky's 2 best players, well, say 2 of their top 3, because Otega Oweh would have been in there, you would have put Jalen Lowe and Jaden Quaintance in 2 of their top 3 if you're picking the best players on this roster coming into the season. And I mean, they played pretty much the entire season without both those guys. Lowe didn't play a lot, and when he did, he still had the shoulder thing going on. JQ came back with a vengeance and then has barely played since then. So it's like I can give Mark Pope a little bit of a pass on that because there's really not a lot you can do when the 2 players that maybe you invested in the most in the transfer portal have just simply not really been a factor this year. Beyond that, I'll say that the one thing Kentucky did wrong, I thought this offseason, despite spending whatever, $22 million or whatever that number was that was reported, they didn't really recruit a roster that fits Mark Pope's coaching strengths. Like it was a team that on paper wasn't a great shooting team, and he's always had great shooting teams. Wasn't really a team offensively. He felt like the pieces fit together, and he felt like the chemistry, like offensively, is something they've always had. In pretty much anywhere he's coached, you go back to some of those BYU teams. They just are a well-oiled machine on offense. And I just think that's the biggest difference, guys. Like, yes, their defense is made up for it a little bit, but offensively, they're not a Mark Pope type team, and they've had to kind of switch guys around so much. And I think just that identity, right? We were mentioning that even a month and a half ago. Team just felt like it didn't really have an identity. I still don't think they really have an identity, other than being a team that plays terrible in the first half and tries to come back in the second half, which is not a great identity to have if you're trying to be an elite basketball team. So I don't know if this gets really any better. They play at Arkansas tomorrow. I think they get blown out in that game. But Kentucky will make the tournament. It'll be just enough probably to give people a little bit of hope. And then we'll probably do this whole thing again next year, and they're going to have to make some drastic changes to the way they build their roster, because if they don't, it's just going to be part 2 again next season, which I think would be probably the last straw for Kentucky fans with Mark Pope.
All right, you just said that Kentucky will still make the tournament. I'm looking at we're potentially 10's the number, right? That I think most of us have decided would be probably the max that the SEC would get in this season. When I looked at Texas A&M, very impressive so far in what Bucky's been able to do. atop the standings in the SEC with the 6 wins. But they do have a difficult stretch, and their schedule gets tougher. If for some reason they flounder down the stretch, is with their resume, do you see potentially a Texas A&M getting left out?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because they're going to need to pick up. Again, let's say they just completely start to go in the wrong direction. You rack up, I don't know, let's say they lose 8 games in SEC play or something.
Yeah, go 3 and 5, 3 and 6, something like that.
Yeah. So if you do that, it's really going to be dependent, I think, on who you're beating because they have a lot of great wins still available, like at Georgia, at Alabama. Those are 2 great wins because they're on the road, and you're playing teams that do have pretty good profiles. Obviously, beating Florida at home would be a great win. At Vanderbilt would be a great win. At Arkansas would be a great win. And you can see their road schedule is pretty brutal the rest of the way, right? But that's where if you can grab a couple of those wins, even if you're losing to, let's say, a team like Missouri at home, let's say you lose to a Texas at home or something like that, that's not going to knock you enough to keep you out of this thing. I think A&M will be fine because I do think they're going to win some of these games, even though it's a pretty tough road slate. I just think they've proven that they have the formula and can work it to their advantage to win some of these. I mean, they've already proven they can do it. I know in controversial fashion at Auburn, they did it at Texas, should have beaten Tennessee in that double overtime game in Knoxville. So I think they're going to be fine. The team, I would say, circle guys, that I feel like is the one that's really going to decide whether the SEC gets 9 or 10, and it is Texas. I don't trust this team at all. I just think that they are so back and forth when it comes to like the consistency, and they can beat anybody, which we saw at Alabama, right? But they can also have kind of one of those games where you just don't know if the defense is going to be there, which is going to be perfect. If you want to watch a game on Saturday, not the most talked about game or anything like that. You want to watch a game where I'm not sure either team's going to play any defense. It's Texas and Oklahoma. These 2 teams just give up so many offensive bursts at times. And I think Texas is the team that's going to decide where the SEC gets 9 or 10. Because I think we're getting close to that mark. You can't say completely safe, right? Because the team can lose out the rest of the way and they're done. But I think we are getting close to that mark where 9 feels like pretty much a lock. But if Texas can kind of make that push, they, I think, will be the 10th team. And if they don't, then I could see them kind of just completely falling out of this thing as well.
That is Blake Lovell. You can follow his work there at Southeastern 16. Those guys just do an incredible job, including Brian Edwards, as they give you a look at the entirety of this conference when it comes to men's basketball. Blake, always great to catch up with you. We'll talk to you again next Friday.
Thanks, Blake.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. That's Blake Lovell joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Some of the takeaways, what Blake just told us, the conference slate as it appears in the SEC this weekend, all of that and more. 3-Man Front continues. Always a fun conversation. Blake Lovell, one of our resident college basketball experts, concentrating on the SEC previewing. Big weekend of conference basketball. Alabama takes on Florida in Gainesville on Sunday. Auburn, meanwhile, traveling to Food City Arena, I think in Knoxville, to take on the Tennessee Vols tomorrow night. Pat, Tennessee around a 6.5-point favorite, but Auburn playing really good basketball right now.
They certainly are. I talked about it earlier. They have their toughest part of their schedule so far, and they've done a really nice job doing that. Tennessee, meanwhile, impressive wins on the road in the SEC. Anytime you can get a road win, that's big. They did it in Coleman Coliseum, and they did it over in Athens, Georgia the other night in overtime. So they return home playing a hot shooting Auburn team. So it should be a very good game.
Yeah, we're just breaking down resumes and what it could look like come tournament time in March for the SEC. Texas A&M, Bucky's team, one of those teams we mentioned where it could get tricky and hairy. They've got a pivotal game. This is a huge game this weekend at Georgia, Stegman Coliseum. If you can knock that Georgia team off, that would add a quad one because it's on the road, the 1 through 75 deal. So if you can get that, that's huge. If not, then you start to worry when you look at the rest of their schedule because as Blake laid out, it's brutal. But give Bucky all the credit in the world where he has his basketball team right now and getting coaches to try to prepare. Wimp Sanderson talking about the press after a make, the press after a miss, the press after you miss, all of that stuff that you have to deal with when you deal with that Bucky brand of basketball.
And Blake was not very high on the Missouri Tigers,
Nope.
and based on what we saw the other night in Coleman Coliseum, you should not be as well. But when you look at the SEC standings and you see the likes of Tennessee, Bama, Georgia, and Mizzou, they all have the same number of wins in conference, 4. So, I mean, there's got to be some separation, happening soon. And I know Mizzou did not play anybody in the non-conference portion of their schedule. So they are not going to get a lot of data love in regards to what the committee is going to see when it comes to the Missouri Tigers.
What do you think on Ole Miss? I was just going back.
I feel they're the same way.
Yeah, same way. There's just not they played some good teams in the non-conference, but unfortunately got some close losses.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at their net ranking. They have the 3rd worst net ranking in the SEC. Ole Miss does.
All right.
So you got Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and South Carolina. Now, every team in the SEC is in the top 100 in the net rankings, which that's good. But when South Carolina is 100, Mississippi State's 93, and Ole Miss is 83, that does not bode well in regards to your likelihood of leapfrogging teams like Auburn, Georgia, or Kentucky in regards to the net.
So if I'd said South Carolina, LSU, Mississippi State, those would be teams that I feel are not going to make the NCAA tournament right now, right?
I believe the SEC will get 9. That's my prediction. I think it's 9.
So that would be, and however you want to interchange them, that would be Texas getting left out, presumably.
Yes. Yeah, I would have Texas, LSU, Oklahoma, Mizzou, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, and South Carolina not making it.
Okay.
That would be as of January the 30th. That's my prediction.
We can't be spoiled like last year. 9's a good number.
Heck yeah. I mean, we've covered this league before when we were happy to get 5.
And what you hope for is that team like Arizona that looks like they're built out of Kevlar. They just have one of those off nights.
Yeah.
They sleepwalk into an arena, somebody gets food poisoning, whatever, and they get knocked off, and then it gets really, really interesting because I see after that team in particular, Michigan's really good. We're going to see them against Michigan State, but I see a lot of parity across college basketball.
Well, you just mentioned what a big game it is for Bucky playing in Athens because they did not play a lot of tough non-conference opponents. I know we mentioned that a minute ago about Ole Miss, but same goes for Texas A&M. They're sitting there at 16-4. That is a really good-looking, pops up on your screen, the
6-1 in conference.
That looks fantastic. But when you look and you dive deep into their numbers, and you're sitting there looking, they're 12-1 at home, 3-2 on the road, 1-1 on neutral site games. They're 2-3 in quad 1 games. They've only played 5 quad 1 opponents. Meanwhile, Arkansas's played 10. Auburn's played 9. Alabama's played 9. So you see you see the problem with Texas A&M.
And by the way, all quad one opponents are not created equal, because you look at Alabama's quad one opponents and really good. We know how Nate schedules. Look at Auburn's, Arizona,
completely
Michigan,
different.
Houston,
Purdue.
Yep. A lot of good teams. Even teams that you forget about, like an Oregon or whoever that they played early in the season.
Yeah, but here's the deal. Texas A&M, they've beaten 7. They're 7-0 against quad 4 opponents.
Well, that's good. You should win those games.
You should. That seems like a lot of quad 4s.
You're gonna have to win all of those games.
As a comparison, Alabama has played 2 quad 4 opponents, and they're 2-0.
Just different.
That's the difference.
We're just different, Pat. We're different. Do it different.
Yeah, well, at least you do in scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just glad that after 14 years, we all get the Texas A&M Georgia game in Athens that we've been waiting for, right?
That's really good.
That is good.
Because that's been the complaint, right?
Yep.
That's the game we've never gotten.
We've never gotten that in the SEC.
And now we're
going to get it on the
Saturday.
hardwood.
That's right.
They ought to have Kirby Smart.
They should have Jimbo Fisher come out at halftime and do a special ceremony.
I think
And
they
Kevin
should.
Sumlin.
Like welcome to Athens.
Hey, we're looking at revenue streams. You can pay to be the guy that replaces the referee in the jump circle to start a game.
Yes.
And it's Jimbo.
I like that.
$100,000, name on the Jumbotron, come out to midcourt. You be the guy in between those 2 7-footers that throws the ball up.
Mm-hmm.
And then during the game, we're going to sit you behind the goalpost, and anytime somebody falls, we're going to hand you a towel.
That's right.
Get out there, make sure it's a safe surface.
I used to envy those kids so much growing up.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get one of those jobs, being the towel
Yeah, until
kid
there's a
behind the
fast
basket?
break on the other end, and you're trying to book it off the court.
I'd have screwed it up somehow.
Hey, you got to be a bat boy.
I did.
That's something.
At the tender age of 39.
And no one can ever take that away from you.
No, I got those memories.
That was beautiful.
Rubbing all those balls, baseballs. We had to rub them up. They got the mud. You know what I'm saying. Maybe
I
you
do know
don't.
what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Take it where you will.
If you're a homeowner like myself, you're going to be faced with a lot of issues being a homeowner. And like me, just a couple of years ago, I was having leaking in my attic, and I had no idea what was going on. Could not find the leak myself, so called a professional. Who did I call? Call Abide Roofing at Travis Lloyd, 205-577-7338. Travis came over. He got on my roof. He identified some issues where my leak was coming, but also some other problems I had. And a small problem turned into a whole full roof replacement. But that wasn't a problem because at Abide Roofing, they're the insurance claim masters. They helped me navigate the process. They get the coverage that I deserved by my insurance company. They were giving me problems, but Travis and the team at Abide Roofing, they were able to get on the roof with the adjuster and work things out. And I appreciated that because they were representing me, and I was able to get that full roof coverage that I needed from my insurance company. You'll get warranties when you go through Abide Roofing that will give you the peace of mind. Plus, they're going to give you a no-cost consultation and estimate. So if you think you have a problem, or you just say, hey, I've got an older house, I can't get up on my roof, I don't have a drone, I can't look at my roofing tiles, call Travis, and Abide Roofing will come, and they'll give you a free estimate and give you a free look. And whether you use them or not, they're going to be honest, and they're going to tell you what's up on your roof. So give them a call today, 205-577-7338. That's Abide Roof at abideroof.com.
Some interesting news coming out of the NFL. We will get to it along with your phone calls. Three-Man Front continues on this Friday. 12:35, 3 in front of this Friday. News coming out. I know that Conrad was shocked when he saw the news that the Vikings have fired their general manager a day after he gives the press conference on the state of the team.
Yeah, he's been down here in Mobile at the Senior Bowl all week doing evaluation. What was his name again?
Adolfo Mensah.
Okay, good. You did good.
Yep.
You did
Is he any kin to Darian Mensah?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Hey, it worked the other day. We found out about the Edgerrin James deal, so maybe we're just.
But that's what happens when you let the
out.
guy that's quarterbacking his team to a Super Bowl appearance go after the 14-3 record he led the Vikings to a year ago.
Well, and you let him go. You replace him with J.J. McCarthy, who you spent a top 10 pick on, and he's been pretty bad. And
when does this start happening in college football? How much did you pay for that defensive lineman? Coach, how much?
I think it's fair.
How many tackles for a loss did he have this season?
I mean, they are called general managers.
Coach, that was $2 million of my money. Just saying. Maybe we see it one day.
Did he say anything else at the press conference? I guess just the state of the union of the team, I guess, the end of the season type stuff.
Yeah, I don't think you had like the owner, like the Bills owner calling out the GM for who he drafted and stuff, like you had with the old Keon Coleman thing in Buffalo. That was kind of odd timing by the owner there.
And the reason I asked that, I mean, all kidding aside, I did not know if maybe he said something political because there's a lot going on in Minnesota.
There is.
So I didn't know if maybe he had ventured into an arena that probably he did not need to go into and caused enough of an uproar that, along with the fact that he was not doing a very good job on the football field.
True.
That was just another reason to go ahead and make the change.
Yeah, all I'm seeing here is this is directly related to Sam Darnold.
It probably is. I mean,
you know what? And I'd fire him too.
But I'm like you. I was thinking the same thing about anything possibly that was said. But
well, I was about to say There's just been some people that have gotten wrapped up in that.
Isn't this is the guy that interviewed Harbaugh when he was still at Michigan and said no thanks.
Oh.
Yeah, that worked out real well.
Good recall, yep.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, hey, I'm going to go get that quarterback. We don't want you, Jim. We'll take your quarterback.
Yeah, we'll take your quarterback. We're going to let this one go.
Has not worked out.
That's just unfortunate for Adolfo Mensah because Sam Darnold did. I don't think anybody really saw this coming.
Well, and I was about to say, to be fair, I can understand why they made the decision to do what they did, but I mean, the reality is the results weren't there.
Yeah.
And the Vikings, you look at, they got a pretty good team. I mean, you got some really nice players, and I don't think it helps when your superstar wide receiver is probably very unhappy with you for getting rid of your quarterback, and now he's stuck with J.J. McCarthy and not able to do the things he normally does for your offense.
The Seahawks will be wearing their home blues in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
New England will be. Yep. New England will wear their whites. Going with not Pat the Patriot on the helmet, which they should.
What is New England's Super Bowl record wearing white jerseys?
I'm going to guess any Super Bowl stat you look up about the Patriots is probably going to be pretty good.
I do remember the one that they played the Bears in the Super Bowl. They were red jersey.
And they wore Pat the Patriot.
Mm-hmm. It says here the New England Patriots have a 4-2 record in Super Bowls while wearing white.
Okay. Sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I hope Bill's watching. I'm sure he'll have a great time. Him and Jordan.
I'm sure they'll have a big party.
Whole spread. It'll be great.
It says that New England has worn the white jerseys its last 4 appearances in the Super Bowl. They're 3-1, but never with the white pants.
Ooh, okay.
You know what? If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong. I thought I saw it this morning. It might be white pants.
Oh, yeah.
That's good to know. I'll have to add that to my Super Bowl fun facts.
They're
list.
set to wear the all white. It's just that helmet. What are we doing?
Yeah, I wouldn't do the helmet.
What is they bring it back, everybody goes crazy over it.
It's a great look.
And then they go back to that stupid Vegas Patriot. I hated that in high school. And that's why, because we were the Patriots. We had Pat the Patriot on our helmet and then went to that nonsense.
Yeah, that's the Flying Elvis.
The Flying Elvis.
That's what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
Not my favorite.
No, I like Pat.
If I'm not mistaken, they've never won a Super Bowl when they haven't been wearing that. Like when you and I remember them getting like blown out in the Super Bowl.
Wasn't Grogan their quarterback?
Yeah, Steve Grogan.
Had a neck roll. He got killed like first play.
Even with the neck roll.
Yeah.
They wore Pat the Patriot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was red jerseys and Pat the Patriot was on the side of their helmet.
And they played the Bears. And you did not want to play the Bears that year.
Was this back in the 80s?
Super Bowl shuffle.
Hey, you thought Georgia's defense was good in 21. You should have seen that Bears team.
I've heard something about the 1985 Bears. They were pretty good from what I understand.
They were
now,
very good.
85 Bears could have stopped Alabama's running game.
Last year's?
Hmm?
Last year's running game?
For sure.
Yeah.
One guy,
It would have been interesting.
Refrigerator Perry.
The most interesting thing, if I'm not mistaken, about that Super Bowl, the Bears just absolutely killed them.
Mm-hmm.
Walter Payton did not get a touchdown in that game.
That's right.
I mean, they killed him.
Didn't even eat Walter Payton.
But Refrigerator Perry got a touchdown.
He dang sure did.
Years before Caden Proctor.
Years.
It was Refrigerator Perry.
He walked so Proctor could run.
Because I was always a Walter Payton fan.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
he was just incredible. And to see them finally get to the Super Bowl, and then of all people, Walter Payton does not score a touchdown.
And they crushed somebody.
And they killed him.
Yeah.
Corey says both teams should wear the throwbacks. I like the old Seahawks, Steve
Yes,
Largent days.
Yes, the silver with the lighter blue.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll say those are nice.
It's like the blue I got on today. That's what they
yeah,
used to have.
yeah, those are nice.
It's a
Just
good
don't wear
look.
the highlighter yellow ones, and we're good. Those are
No.
wonderful. Those are bad.
No.
Those are bad.
They started going into that color fusion type greenish blue, and that would have been the Sean Alexander years.
Uh-huh.
Started getting some of that.
Yeah, they're like they're like the Oregon of the NFL.
He's been waiting patiently. Hey, Chris.
How you guys doing this morning?
Afternoon, but
I guess just want
it
to
might have been morning when you called. Hey.
afternoon. Yeah. I guess want to discuss three things and hear you guys' take on them. First, when it comes to Birmingham Stallions, will they ever stop scheduling games on basically holidays? Because how do you expect to pack up Detective and it's going to be on a game's going to be on Easter Sunday or Mother's Day? Like, as if mothers really going to want to go to a football game on that day. Second would be you guys' thoughts on what Coach Prime's pretty much laying out his breakdown of how he's going to manage this NIL deal for his program, because he pretty much said if you're late or something, you get docked about $500 something or something like that.
Yep.
And last but not least, when it comes to the Bama fan base, because I'm glad Conrad let me get the platform to address this, because the standards that they always preach about, they always held to the football program. They don't hold it to the basketball program. And I just want consistency there, because despite what you say, Coach Nate Oates, and he's done a great job. It's just he's only got been to this, only won this championship, only made to the playoffs in just one regular season championship. At least Kalen Doer's progressing. I'm not saying that everything's copacetic 100, because it's going to take time. But how many years has Nate Oates been here compared to Kalen Doer, and we've gotten pretty much.
Nate Oates went to the Final Four, Chris.
Chris, I don't know if you knew the state of basketball here in this state before the likes of Bruce Pearl and Nate Oates, but
wasn't a lot of Final Four banners around the state.
It looks a lot healthier basketball-wise now than it ever did.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're always saying the standard is standard, right?
But there's not a standard with the basketball
What
program.
is the
They
standard?
never won anything.
Dude, my standard is if the standard of championships, I don't care if you haven't won anything. I mean, because so far, let's be honest, the season for the Bama basketball, even the women's too, has been pretty much been up subpar, and they can do a lot better.
The women's
I know
team is
injuries
19-3,
happen,
Chris. They lost Auburn.
I know, but they still lost. Let me finish. I wanted them to beat South Carolina that game.
They lost the
I
Y
understand
Bob, the women's Iron Bowl of basketball.
Now, guess what? I understand they lost to Coach Dawson, but I want them to beat teams like that. I don't want to lose a close game at home to Tennessee or Texas in the quarters of the men's. But I say I want the standard to be up for them as well as keep the same standard, because I want the same standard to be handled all the way around.
All right.
You guys take care.
Chris, you as well. Thank you. First question: Stallions, the franchise did not have anything to do with the schedule. That all comes from the UFL office, and in conjunction with TVs and networks, and when they can put the programming on. But the standard, I don't know what to tell you there. Look, the standard now for me, growing up watching basketball in this state, eating it, drinking it, sleeping it, the standard now is make the tournament.
And guess what?
Make
the tournament every year.
That should be the standard.
I strongly disagree, just because one program standard is not every
now
standard.
Maybe we move it, but no, I think where Nate Oates is in this Alabama program, and I'll say the same for Auburn and a lot of teams in the SEC, the standard should be the minimum, make the tournament.
So we're really mad because Alabama made a Final Four 2 years ago for the first time ever. And then last year, oh no, they regressed. They went to the Elite Eight and lost to Duke.
Exactly.
Get
it together, Nate.
I'm sorry, Chris. That was a bad call.
Well,
that's why you're having to kidnap guys out of the pros, Conrad. Sorry, Molly, go ahead.
No, you're good. Flu season is here, so make your home healthier with Trane's Clean Effects Home Air Cleaner. It removes up to 99.9% of airborne particles, including those that cause virus. It's 100 times more effective than standard air filters and 8 times more effective than HEPA room filters. So go and find a dealer near you at Trane.com.
We will continue on this Friday edition of Three Man Front on Jocks. So Darian Mensah, the ACC championship quarterback for the Duke Blue Devils, who worked out a deal with Duke to leave the Blue Devils, leave Durham, North Carolina, head south, signed his paperwork. He will be the starting quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes for this upcoming season. He gave an interview just like Hollywood Smothers did, detailing why he left the school that he had an NIL deal, left, and obviously going to Miami. And he says the following: I want to make the NFL. I want to be a first-round draft pick. All signs point towards Miami. End of quote. Now, I understand that Daniel Jones is not Josh Allen.
David Cutcliffe is not there either.
No, he's not. I understand that. But just like Josh Allen being at Wyoming, the NFL, if you're good, tape don't lie.
Trey Lance was a first-round pick at North Dakota State.
Yeah.
So was Carson Wentz.
So, once again, I'll have to dig deeper into this other quotes to see what he said. That's the highlight, just saying that he wants to go to the NFL. So for him to go to the NFL, he felt like he needed to leave Duke to go to Miami.
I did like that. I guess in the interview, one of the questions was, do you have a message for the Duke fan base? And I actually liked his response was, I don't think that I need to say anything right now because I know they're mad at me and I appreciate, what they did for me. And I have nothing bad to say about Duke, but I'm not, I know they hate me. So I'm not going to, I'm not going to try to make some fake apology when it was a business decision.
So, here's the thing. And it's the faux anger that you get from fan bases. Do we need to remind ourselves that Darian Mensah was taken off another roster to go to Duke?
That is correct.
We forget that, right?
And we were all going, oh my gosh, look at how much money they paid this guy from Tulane.
You pulled him off of a championship winning team at Tulane. And then Miami said, you know what? We're bigger than you, Duke. So guess what we're going to do? We're going to take your quarterback just like you took Tulane's quarterback.
Yeah.
I'm sure Duke didn't, nobody that they got in the portal this year, they probably tampered with or took from a program that, they enjoyed.
Well, it goes back to yesterday. You're asking these guys to come in and buy into a culture. They didn't buy into the last culture they were in.
Yeah.
Also, if you're Darian Mensah, you can pretty easily go, look, I did everything I could, man. I had a great year. I took us to the ACC championship game. I won the ACC championship game. And guess what? It got us 8 wins and a trip to a random bowl game that nobody
No, you're upset, but you don't personally. I don't personally hold a grudge against Darian Mensah. He's doing the same thing that I think if we're honest with ourselves, a lot of us would do at his age.
Yeah. I would 100% do the same thing because you just watched them go play for a national championship and you watched them get Cam Ward out of the portal, #1 overall pick. Carson Beck's probably not going to be a first-round pick, but again, his draft stock's a lot better than it was last year.
To leave Durham to go to Miami for Landrum at 20 years old?
Yeah, sign me up.
You would have gotten a discount.
Well, and on top of that, maybe he doesn't care about this, but you're going to go from, as great as he was at Duke, you're nothing compared to the basketball team, right? Those are the people that run the campus. Now, you're the king of the University of Miami. You are the guy on campus. That's pretty appealing to a 20-year-old with 7 figures in their bank account.
Yeah, and if you want to go back, and you're right, NFL will find you wherever. But I'm sure when they give the tours, and Mario had Darian Mensah there, I'm not sure that he even did a tour, but when they bring folks there, they go down the quarterback hall, and you look at all the great quarterbacks who played in the NFL that originated their careers at the U.
Darian, we can have Daniel Jones call you real quick. No, I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good. I'm going to go to Miami.
You think he's had a conversation with Cam Ward yet?
Probably so.
Yeah.
Probably so.
We have got one more hour to go in this week's programming. Hope you'll be a part of it. 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. We will continue with your calls and your texts. We're wide open the rest of the way. We'll do some Pat Ponders as well to close things out for the week. This is 3-Man Front on Jocks.